Today we're going to be talking about how to separate Maaser and Terumah from fruits that people have in their garden, and also Hafrashas Challah, how to separate challah when making bread. The reason I'm discussing both of them at the same topic because they are very similar, and I find that women know how to do Hafrashas Challah, but they're very nervous about doing Maaser and Terumah, and men are very comfortable about doing Maaser and Terumah, but they are very uncomfortable and scared to do Hafrashas Challah. In reality, they are both very similar and almost the same thing, and that's why I'm putting them together so you can see how similar they are. The difference between Hafrashas Challah is that we're only going to be removing Terumah from it, only one step, while by the fruits and the vegetables, we're going to be doing two steps. My name is Rabbi Shmuel Katz, and I give shiurim for Smicha. It can be found here at Yeshiva Chonen Das, and it can be found online at rbssmicha.com. RBS stands for Ramat Beit Shemesh, Smicha.com. You can find all my shiurim, and right now we're discussing the halachas of Maaser and Terumah and Hafrashas Challah. Okay, let's begin. Just so you should know, everything here at the table is tevel. Tevel means that you must make a bracha when separating the Maaser and Terumah or separating the challah from the dough. Tevel is an Aramaic word made up of two Hebrew words, tov, lo. Tov means good, lo, it's not good. You're not allowed to eat from anything at this table, and if you would, in the time of the first Beis Hamikdash, when things were d'oraisa, you would get punished by death. Misa b'dei shemayim. Today, unfortunately, we do not have all the Jews living in Israel, it's only the Rabbanon, but it's still forbidden to eat any of these things on this table without separating Maaser and Terumah, and a bracha must be said when doing tevel. This is different than when one buys fruit and vegetables in a shuk where they're not sure, which they will still separate Maaser and Terumah, but a bracha is not required. Okay, let's start with the Hafrashas Challah. The reason I like to start with this is because many women are very comfortable with this. We're only going to do one step here. We only need to remove the Terumah from here. This halakha applies both in Israel and outside of Israel. The reason the rabbis made this rabbinic everywhere in the world is because bread represents a person's parnasa, it represents a person's food, and the rabbis wanted to instill spirituality into our food, and therefore, when you eat the bread in a Jewish home, not only are you eating food, you're also being sustained spiritually. This is also why this mitzvah was given to women to do, because women are the akarat habayit, they're in charge of the home. Not only are they in charge of taking care of the children, but they're in charge of actually making sure everyone is religious in the home, instilling in spirituality religious into everyone's in the home, and therefore things that are related to the home, it is upon the woman to do. Like a woman lights candles, a woman separates challah. Now these things are equally applicable to men, but the woman does it because it's the woman's job to make sure her house, her family grows up religious. Okay. So when we're going to separate the challah, we only need to take a kazayas, a small piece. A kazayas is about the size of a matchbox. That's all we need to take. Since today we do not give it to Kohanim to eat, it's going to be burnt or destroyed or getting rid of in a proper way, we only take a small amount. Now it happens to be, in the time when the Kohanim would eat the challah, would eat it when they were tahor, so a regular person would take 4% of their dough to give it to the Kohen to help support Torah learning. And that was the matana of the Kohen. Today, since Kohanim are not Torah anymore and they cannot eat it, so we're going to burn it. But since normally they would take 4%, it is very common custom that women daven at this time and they give tzedakah before doing this mitzvah, which is upon the woman, and she will daven that her children grow up religious and they grow to be Talmid Chachamim and learn it in Torah. So let's begin doing Hafrashas Challah. What we're going to do is we're going to take a piece the size of a kazayas, not so big. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly a kazayas. If you want to do more, do less, it's not so important. Really, the mitzvah is only a mashu. The rabbis said we should use a kazayas so that is something of significance. Since we're having so much dough here, we should use something of significance. So I'm going to take a piece of dough. This is definitely more than the size of kazayas that could fit in my hand. And now, before doing the bracha and saying it, I like to tell you that there are 3 different ways. So if you're a lady and I'm not doing it the way you normally do, don't get upset. There are different customs. The Sephardic custom generally is to make the bracha first and then put your hand and take the dough. Many people, what they do, they take the dough out of the hand and then they will make the bracha. What I do, and this my wife does, is that she takes a piece of dough, the size of kazai, she puts it back in the dough, she then holds onto the dough in the pot, and then she makes the bracha. Now I have to tell you, everyone in the audience, when I make a bracha, you can answer Amen. If you're listening to this video, please do not answer Amen, as you're not allowed to answer Amen to a bracha said on a video. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the bracha. Again, anyone in the room can answer Amen. If you're watching the video, please do not. I'm holding the dough. I'm putting it in the dough, so it's together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'afrish challah min ha'isa. I have separated challah from the dough. Now, not everyone says the word min ha'isa from the dough. Some say the word challah. In fact, if you're Sephardim, you'll probably say the bracha la'afrish truma, because in reality this is truma. And I will pick it up, and I will now say harei zu challah. Now that this is challah, this can only be eaten by a Kohen who is tar, and therefore, since Kohen are not tar, we're going to dispose of it in a proper way, and we're going to put it in a tin foil. We single wrap it, and my house, the custom is to double wrap it, and then we're going to burn it in the oven. The reason we double wrap it is because we want to make sure that it does not get mixed in with other food, because this is forbidden to eat. This is holy, so holy that it has the same status of being treif. A person who is not tar, is not a Kohen, is forbidden to eat it, and would be an aver if he ate it. So this is going to be burnt, and we'll put this aside. This is also a very good time for a woman to daven, for the children, for her husband to learn Torah, to become spiritual. Again, what she does is she has just made this dough from regular mundane bread that people eat in something holy, and now gives her family spiritual nourishment. I will come back later to explain the halachas of challah, but first I want to keep it simple. I want to go now to halachas of Maaser and Terumah. At the table, I've asked people in my shir to bring things from their trees. Here I have grapes. Here I have either oranges or grapefruits. Here I have lemons. And here, believe it or not, I have actual grape juice. Someone actually made grape juice from the grapes. Now I can verify that all the fruits on this from here on the table is from a tree that's grown in Israel, and it's more than 4 years old. I say more than 4 years old because the first 3 years, whether you live in Israel, America, London, is orla, and it's forbidden to eat. On the 4th year, here in Israel, it's called Rabbi, and it can be redeemed and eaten. In Chutz La'aretz, it doesn't apply. But Maaser and Terumah only begins from a fruit that is from the 5th year and onward. So all these fruits here are from trees that are more than 4 years old here, grown in Israel. Now, by Hafrashas Challah, we did one thing. We separated Terumah Gedola, which we call Challah. With the fruits, what we're going to do is do 3 things. We're going to separate Terumah. We're going to separate, so Terumah is exactly the same as by the Challah. We're going to separate Maaser. This is something that did not happen by the Challah. But the reality, the separating of the Terumah and the Maaser is really one bracha. It's really put together as one entity. And then the third thing we're going to do, and this is different, is we're going to take a piece from here and discard it like we did by the Challah. But the third thing is a second bracha, which is to redeem the Maaser Sheni. Meaning there's a certain type of Maaser that could be in the fruits that can only be eaten in Yerushalayim when a person is tar in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. Since today we're not tar, we do not have a Beis HaMikdash, what it is done is it is redeemed onto a pruta. So what you will need if you do this at home, you will need to have a coin. This is something I keep at home. You can look at it. It's a coin. It's an envelope with a coin inside. I change it every 3 years because every 3 years you have to get rid of it. If I open it up, you will find in here a 10 shekel coin. Now, a 10 shekel coin, how many prutas? You know, every time I'm going to redeem something, I need to redeem it on a pruta. Pruta is based on the value of silver. It's about 5 agrot to 10 agrot, depending on the price of silver. So I have here 10 shekel. I wrote here that this is good for at least 100 times. See, it's 100 times. Every time I do redeem it, I put another line on the paper saying that I've done it. And when it gets to 100, then I know that this coin is filled up, technically speaking, and has to be destroyed. Reality, I never destroy 10 shekel because I am careful of my money. What I'll do with the 10 shekel coin when it's filled, I will redeem this 10 shekel coin onto a 10 agura coin. And the 10 agura coin, I will then dispose and destroy. You can throw it into the Dead Sea. What I do is I take a hammer and I break it in half. Don't tell the Israeli government because I don't know if it's legal. But again, if you're going to separate Maaser and Terumah, so you're going to need to do 2 steps. The 2 steps that you need to do is you're going to have to separate a certain portion, and 2, you're going to need to have a coin to redeem the Maaser Sheni or the Rabbi on. So I'm going to put this 10 shekel coin back in this envelope. If you do not know how to do this, I don't know why you wouldn't know how to do this. It's very simple to put a coin in an envelope. It's not that hard. But there are many great organizations out there where you give them an annual fee and they have a coin for you. And they do other things as well that make things a little bit much nicer. Okay, so let's practically separate the Maaser and Terumah. There are 4 things in front of me. Since I'm going to make a bracha, I'm going to do all of them at one time. How do I do it? Very simple. I have to separate 1.1% of each item, and then I'm going to redeem it onto a coin. Those are 2 steps. It should not take more than 60 seconds to do it the long way. Today I'd like to show you also the short way, in which it will only take 5 seconds. But since we're going to make a bracha, and this is the first time we're doing it here, I'd like to show you how to do it the long way. Okay, so I need to take 1.1%. Why 1.1%? Well, I'm not going to get involved directly with how all the details of Maaser works, but if you see this on the camera, this is really what we're doing. When separating the Maaser and Terumah, we're going to be doing the following. We're going to be removing the Terumah Gedola, which is just a small percentage, 0.1%. We're going to be separating Maaser Rishon. It'll be up to you if you're going to give it to the Levi or not, depending on if it's Tevel Vadai or not. We're going to be separating Trumas Maaser, which is 1%, which is going to be put together with the Terumah and discarded. And then depending on what year of the Shemitah cycle you are, you're going to be separating Maaser Sheni or Maaser Ani. Maaser Sheni will be redeemed onto the coin. Maaser Ani will actually be given to a poor person. And then we have Rabbi. If it's a 4th year fruit from a 4th year tree, then 100% of all the fruit becomes Rabbi, and that all gets redeemed onto a coin. What's in blue is the Terumah. The Terumah has to be separated and destroyed. Just like the Challah, which is also Terumah, cannot be eaten by a Kohen unless he's Torah, we'll burn it. What we'll do with the fruits, we will discard it in a proper way. What we'll do is we'll put it into a plastic bag and then double wrap it and then discard it in the garbage. We do it in a double bag because it's not proper to throw something holy in the garbage. And one of those bags we will see should not be see-through. So when you look at the things that we're going to be separating today, we have Terumah Gedola, and that's only a small amount, a pinch. 1 grain is enough of each item. So I have this called 0.1%. And then we have the Trumas Maaser, which is 1%. The Trumas Maaser is, technically speaking, we have to give the Levi 10%, and then the Levi has to give 10% of his 10% to the Kohen, and that's called Trumas Maaser. So total of what we make sure that no one can eat is 1.1%. So therefore, that's the reason why the first thing we're going to do when doing Trumas Maaser is we're going to separate 1.1% of each item. So let's do that now. I'll take my knife. There is about 100 grapes in this thing, so I'm going to separate 2 grapes. Now, what's interesting to know, when you're going to separate it, this is going to be discarded. It's not going to be eaten. The time when the Kohen would eat it, we try to find the nicest one to give the Kohen. But since no one's going to eat it, we could separate the worst one as long as it's edible. It has to be edible to a person, but once it's edible, we can take the ones you don't want to eat. So in fact, let's take here one that I wouldn't eat this one so much. I mean, it's edible, but doesn't look so nice. So I'm going to put here 2 grapes. 2 is definitely more than 1.1%. Here, I will go through these grapefruits. I will look for one that I don't like so much. I will now cut a small piece. Here we go. A little piece is more than 1.1%. Here we have lemons. See here, this one is all brown looking, so that's not the one I want to eat. I will take a piece of that, more than 1.1%. Put that over here. This is actually very interesting. This is grape juice. Now, one cannot drink this until you take Maaser and Terumah. Now, if someone is making grape juice or wine, the proper time to take it is once the finished product. Now, this might look a little funny to you. This doesn't look like grape juice that you would buy in the store. It's look brown. But I'm told by the person who made it that this is actual real grape squeezed. And I can see it, there are some pits in here even, so he didn't get all the seeds out. Now, how do you take Maaser and Terumah from that? We will take a cup, And this actually comes very handy if you go to a hotel that does not have a proper hechsher and you want to drink orange juice and you want to take Maaser and Terumah. You just pour, again, 1.1%, leave it on the side. And now all I've done, so I haven't done anything yet. I haven't even started the process. I've just taken 1.1% of each of the items. Okay, now before I begin, I'm going to say a bracha, something I should have said also for ladies when they do hafrashas challah, is that it's ideal, preferably, to stand when making the bracha. This is a mitzvah. Your porn should properly be dressed and standing when making the bracha. So I'm now going to break up the bracha. Again, if you're in the room, you can answer Amen. If you're listening to the video, please do not. Again, I have not done anything yet except separate 1.1% from each item on the table, which is real tevel. Again, if it's real tevel, I must make a bracha before eating it. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'tzatav v'tzivanu la'afrish trumos u'maisros. I will then read what says in the Siddur. So it's a copy from the Siddur. If you don't understand it, you can say this in English. There's nothing wrong saying it in English. In fact, if you don't understand it, as long as you say it, it's okay. And I will even show later, you don't even have to say it as long as you have in mind that you want to separate the Terumah Maaser properly. I'm going to read what it says here on the Siddur. Hayot emecha mea sheish kan b'ma shemunach b'nifrat harei Terumah gadol b'tzad tzvono. Kol min al mino. That's a very important word. I am now taking on each of these spices. I'm making one bracha. Kol min, this halakha that I'm saying that the Terumah is separated on each species individually, the 4 species. So I'm saying kol min al mino. Otom echad mea sheyesh kan v'ot tesha chalakim k'moto v'tzad sofon shal peiros ha'amei Maaser Rishon. I'm making part of it Maaser Rishon kol min al mino. So the Maaser Rishon is in the northern section. Oto echad mea shasite Maaser osi Trumas Maaser. And then from the Maaser Rishon, I am now putting the Trumas Maaser on the 1%. Because technically speaking, you don't have to understand it fully, but if you want to understand it, Maaser Rishon was 10%, and then the Levi of the Maaser 10%, he has to give 10% of his. 1% is on the side, so here we have the 1% plus the Terumah Gedola. Maaser Sheni Bidromo, and the Maaser Sheni is in the bottom half on the south. The Maaser Sheni is on the south. Now, Maaser Sheni happens 4 out of every 6 years. Technically, it's supposed to be eaten in Yerushalayim with the Beis Hamikdash B'Tahara, and one learns spirituality from it. And I say, Maaser Sheni B'Dromo, Kol Min Al Mino. Very important to say on each of these species, because I'm making one bracha for all of them. V'im Torch Maaser Ani, and if it's a Maaser Ani year, if it's a 3rd year or 6th year where the 10% goes to the poor person, so also B'Dromo it'll be on the south instead of the Maaser Sheni, Kol Min Al Mino. HaMaaser Sheni Sheish Kan Mechula Huvach, period. That's it. Okay. Now, I've done the first half. I have now done step number 1. I've separated 1.1%, and I have made a bracha on removing the Terumah and the Maaser. So now what I'll do is I'll take a plastic bag, and I'll take the 1.1% from each of these items, put it into this plastic bag. Now obviously, this I cannot put into a plastic bag, it's a liquid. What I will do is that I will just simply pour it down the drain where it's not garbage, meaning into a clean drain. Just pour it down the drain, and that's covered the way of doing it. I will now make a knot in here, and it's not proper. Now, ideally, like with dough, I could burn it. You can't really burn fruit. So we're going to discard it in the garbage, but it's not proper to throw it into a single plastic bag that's clear through in the garbage that's dirty. If you have an empty garbage, you can throw it directly here. It's called the Pach Shemitah if you want, but we generally throw it into the regular garbage. What we're going to do is we're going to get a second bag that's not clear through. It could be yellow, like this one. It could be white. It could be any color you want. And now it's double bagged, and simply discard it. In fact, reality, this dough, if I don't want to burn it, I can also put it into this bag and throw it in the garbage just as well. Doesn't mean I get to burn it, but again, as long as I make sure I put it in an area where no one's going to eat, because this is now is very holy stuff, and it's forbidden to eat. I can now throw this in the garbage if I want, or maybe I go home, I'll put the challah in the oven and have it burnt. Okay, I have now done step 1. I designated the Terumah, I separated it. I designated the Maaser. In reality, if I like, I can give to the Levi 10%. It's really not 10%, it's really 9%, because the Levi has to give 10% of his portion to the Kohen. So I have to give now 9% or 10% to the Levi. Happens to be, I know someone here in the room, the person doing the video here is the Levi Seltzer, so we're going to give him 10%. It happens to be, we have 10 grapefruits, 10 lemons, 100 grapes here. So we'll separate 10 grapes from here. And we'll give him one of these grapefruits. We'll give him one of these lemons. And maybe if he wants, we'll give him some of the grape juice. We'll see if he drinks it. Okay. Now, I still have a portion now of till now we only did the first part. This second part is redeeming the Maaser Sheni. It happens to be this year is the 4th year. And the 4th year we have to do Maaser Sheni. Now let's understand what Maaser Sheni is about. Maaser Sheni is about taking 10% of one's money, going to Yerushalayim, eating it there in the holiness of the Beis HaMikdash, learning Torah, growing spiritually. Now, this is very interesting to understand that 4 out of the 6 years is Maaser Sheni, while only 2 of the 6 years is Maaser Ani. What's more important, to give money to the poor person, or to use one's money to grow spiritually and make sure he's religious, his children are religious, and learn Torah? Well, if you look at how the fruits work out, 2/3 of the time we're supposed to use our money to grow spiritually, while only 1/3 of the time we give our money to the poor. So, Maaser Sheni, how do we do it today? Today we can't eat it. So, we're going to redeem it. We're going to redeem it onto this coin. Again, this coin has 100 uses on it. So far I've done it twice. So now I will make another mark. Do you have a pen, anyone in the pen audience? Okay. I will now make a mark to demarcate it. People, let's see, here we go. Now I have done 3 times. People ask me, do I really take Maaser and Terumah 100 times? Because most of the stuff they buy here locally already has Maaser and Terumah done, and it's true I don't. But believe it or not, I find many people in my share call me all the time and ask me if they could borrow my coin. What does that mean? Meaning, let's say you're in Tel Aviv and in an area, or you're at someone's relative's house where you're not sure what the kashrus is, and you want to do Maaser and Terumah, so you simply separate it, but you need a coin. And you don't have a coin. You call me up, hey Shmuel, Katz, can I use your coin? Can I use a pruta worth of your coin and redeem my Maaser Sheni? And I say, sure you can. And then I will make a mark on my envelope. So again, we're going to now redeem the Maaser Sheni. Since we can't eat it, we have to redeem it onto a pruta, which is between 5 to 10 agarot. And we do this, we're going to make a bracha because everything on this table is tevel. So we're going to make a bracha. Again, if you're in the audience, you can answer amen. If you're listening to the video, do not. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu mitzvah v'tzivanu al pidyon Maaser Sheni. That's it. That's all I did. Done. Finished. Now everything here is kosher to eat. Let's try it. Let's see. This is Terumah. This way, careful not to drink. We'll put this next to the bag here so no one drinks it. We'll pour it down the thing. But now this is kosher. Let's see how this grape juice tastes. Looks a little weird to me. I hope you didn't use his dirty feet to squeezing the grapes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Pretty sweet. Sweeter than regular grape juice. Okay, now you might be saying to yourself, wow, this sounds very complicated, Shmuel. It's really not. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to show you how quickly you can do. Let's put this back, and let's go to something I bought in the shuk. Here we have bananas. I bought this in the shuk without a hechsher. I do not know what hechsher there is. I do not know if Maaser Terumah was taken. Now, chances are it was, because most fruits and vegetables in this country go through the Tenuva factory, and Tenuva separates Maaser and Terumah, but I don't know, and therefore if I'm going to eat a banana from here, I need to separate Maaser and Terumah. I will not make a bracha because I didn't grow on anyone's backyard tree that I know for sure it's tevel. You only make a bracha if you know for sure that it's tevel. Since this was bought in the shuk, again, I don't know if they separate Terumah or not. I will separate. I can't eat it unless I separate Maaser and Terumah from it, but I don't make a bracha. So I'm going to do this the long way, and then here I have cucumbers. Also, this is a suffix, meaning I also bought this in the same shuk, and I do not know if the person took Maaser and Terumah from it, so no bracha will be done. I'm going to do each one separately to show you how practically this is done. With the bananas, I'm going to do the long way. The long way is, I take my knife, I need to take 1.1%, so I'll cut off a little bit here. Okay, that's more than 1.1%. In this case, I do not need to give the Levi anything because I don't know for sure if I need to take Maaser and Terumah, so I definitely don't have to give the Levi. But I can eat it while the Terumah or Terumah's Maaser is involved. So what I'll do is I'm going to do the long way. I'll cut off 1.1%. I will get to my siddur. I'll open my siddur and I'll simply say the words. You can say this in English or Hebrew. No bracha said. You simply say, Hayotim echa me'esh yesh kan Harei Truma Gadol B'tzad Tzvono. Oto Echa Mea Sheyesh Kan V'Otesha Chalakim Kimoto B'tzad Tova Shal Peiros Harei Maaser Rishon. Oto Echa Mea Shasiti Maaser Sheni Asu Trumas Maaser. Maaser Sheni B'dromo Shal Peiros. V'em Tzorach Maaser Oni Yeh Maaser Oni B'dromo Shal Peiros. Okay, that was step 1 done. And now I will put this into a plastic bag. If someone can hand me a plastic bag, I will then place this into a plastic bag. If I can get this opened. Again, I need to get a double layer, so let me find that yellow bag. I'll put that in the yellow bag later. And that was step 1. Step 2 is I have to take the podeh, redeem the Maaser Sheni onto this coin. So what I'll simply do, I have my envelope. My envelope says on it, Trumos or Maaser. There's a coin for 10 shekel. I've only done it 3 times. I will take the pen, thank you very much. I will put another line here. Now it's 4 times. And now I will simply go back to my siddur. And my siddur says, Maaser Sheni sheish kan v'chulu v'chom shal put b'peh sheichati l'chila Maaser Sheni v'ravai. Im ein shavar pruta yemchulahu v'chom shal b'shavit ma'peh sheichati l'chila Maaser Sheni v'ravai. Period. End the story. That's it, done. It did not take me more than 60 seconds. Okay, that was the long way. Let's see if we can do it the short way, and then we're pretty much finished. I'm going to go take my cucumbers from here. Again, what's my requirement? I need to have a knife. I take 1.1% off, find one that you don't like. Okay, so here's a little piece, more than 1.1% of the 10 cucumbers. I will simply say now as follows. Look at this. All Maaser and Terumah that I need to do, that says in my siddur at home, I'd like to be separated properly, and any Maaser Sheni that has to be redeemed, plus a chomesh, should be redeemed onto my coin. Okay, that's it, done. And now I have to make sure that I remember to make a line here. So today, you see, I put 3 new lines today onto this coin. So now I only have 95 more times left on this coin. But that's it. 5 seconds. Again, I'm going to show you how to do it again. This is very applicable if you go to a not religious family, a relative of yours, and they give you a plate of vegetables. So you can eat it. Bugs issue is a separate issue. Besides the bug issue, if you have cucumbers and tomatoes, you simply put to the side of your plate 1.1%, and you simply say, any Maaser and Terumah that I have to take off should be taken off as it says in the siddur, and any Maaser Sheni should be redeemed on my coin. End of story. Okay, we'll take this 1.1%, put it in a plastic bag, make sure it's put into a second bag and throw in the garbage. I'd just like to conclude with saying that separating Maaser and Terumah and separating Challah are very simple. If you're scared about doing it, it's just because you're not used to it. Once you've done it once, you'll see it takes literally 5 seconds, maybe max 60 seconds to do. We live in Israel. We're very lucky. Do you know of the 613 mitzvos that are in the Torah, 51 of them have to do with Avodah Zarah? Well, that makes sense. 51. Avodah Zarah is a big deal. We know Hashem gets very jealous of Avodah Zarah. But do you know that in the Torah, 50 mitzvos have to do with mitzvos tluyos ba'aretz? 50 mitzvos equal to Avodah Zarah has to do with what we see here. We are zocheh to live in Israel to do these mitzvos. Moshe Rabbeinu pleaded that he can come to Eretz Yisrael so he can do these mitzvos that we have the ability to do. We should appreciate the fact that Hashem let us come back to Israel and that we can do these mitzvos all over again. And in addition, when you eat the bread, when you eat the fruit, it's not just giving you physical sustenance, it's giving us spiritual sustenance. We should all be zocheh to have a spiritual life, grow in Torah, and see our children grow in Torah and continue our traditions of being religious. I showed you how to separate Challah and Terumah. Okay, I'd like to go a little deeper and discuss things. Hafrashas Challah, well, many women are very comfortable doing this. I, as a man, I'm very uncomfortable. This is probably the second time in my life that I've done it. Generally, when my wife does it, again, she's the akarat habayit, she's responsible for the spirituality in my house, and that's why she does it. A woman's job in the home is a very important one. She is the one that does the Challah. It's her mitzvah. It's her mitzvah because she's responsible that she keeps all her children religious and her husband sending him to go learn. Now, but when I look at the halachas of Challah, while a woman might say, oh, that's so simple, all I do is I have to take a piece off and burn it. These are very complicated halachas. In fact, in the Shulchan Aruch, there are 9 simanim, 9 chapters in discussing the halachas of separating Challah, while the halachas of separating Maaser and Terumah is only 1 chapter, only 1 siman. A long siman, but only 1. Why is it so complicated? Because in reality, when one wants to make a bracha on separating challah, there are a lot of requirements. If you want to separate without a bracha, relatively easy. But separating with a bracha is complicated. It has a lot of requirements. For one, you have to make sure you have enough dough in here. For example, if you do not use enough flour, you don't even have to separate at all. Only when you use 1.2 kilo, about 3 pounds or so, is there a mitzvah of challah at all. And that's not even with a bracha. If you want to make a bracha, you have to make sure you have enough flour. How much flour do you need? Well, it's a debate between modern day rabbis, anywhere between 1.7 kilo to 2.5 kilo. In my house, we use 2 bags of flour, plus a little extra, 2+ kilo, and then my wife makes a bracha, and that's what you have here. This is about 2+ kilo of flour. Now, so the first requirement, in order to make a bracha, you have to make sure you have over the proper amount of flour. The second thing that most people do not know, this is a lot of flour, and if you want to make it for Shabbos, this makes about 7 challahs. Now, I don't know about you, but I do not eat 7 challahs in a Shabbos. So, you might say to yourself, well, you know what, no problem. I like to do the mitzvah, but I'll give it to my neighbors. I'll make the challah, we'll keep 2 at home, and the rest of the challahs we'll send to my neighbor, and we give it as presents. Well, if you do that, you cannot make a bracha. You can only make a bracha if you plan on eating the challah. You don't have to actually eat it, but it has to be served in your home or given to people who you are responsible for feeding. You can invite guests over and they can eat in your house. You can send it to your children who you have to support, but you cannot give it to your friends or neighbors or friends. If you do, you can separate it, but with no bracha. Another thing, you might have this idea, well, you know what? Let's freeze some of it. Let's take some of this dough, we'll make 2 challahs this Shabbos, and we'll freeze the rest, and every Shabbos, for the next few days, we'll take the frozen dough and bake it. Well, that's a very big question if you can mafresh with a bracha. Ask your local rabbi. And it says in Shmuel Shabbos Kelchoso that that's not proper to make a bracha, and it's proper to bake them all. And therefore, what we do in my house, my wife bakes all the dough for Shabbos, and we don't eat it all in one Shabbos. She'll freeze the challahs after it's baked. You should know, it comes out fresh. You take the challah right out of the oven, you put it right into the freezer. Next Shabbos, it's fresh as can be. Another issue that people don't realize, and that is when you send your child to Gan, to kindergarten, and they come back with little challahs, they come back with dough, and they want to bake it, and you ask your child who's 5 years old, did your teacher take Hafrashas challah? Well, if she sent every child back, even though she made a large amount of dough, if she didn't bake it, she sent everybody, all the kids home with dough, no challah is even required. The minute today is that people do separate without a bracha. If she bakes it and she gives all the children little challahs to take home, she also does not make a bracha. Again, the time you make a bracha is if A, you're using enough dough, B, you plan on cooking it all at the same time, and 3, you plan on keeping it for yourself and your family. This is why separating challah is very complicated, and that's why in the Shulchan Aruch it has a lot of laws when one is in fact allowed to make a bracha.